What's up, blue collar millionaires? I got my friend Jace Howard. He's a member of the Dealmaker family with me. Jace, thank you for coming on. He's got a construction business, a big construction business. You're an engineer as well, right, Jace?
I am. So yeah, out in Arizona in construction, and I don't do much engineering anymore, but that's kind of my background. I went back to school.
Tell us how you got started as an entrepreneur and what you're doing now.
It probably started when I was a young kid, honestly. I had a grandpa that owned a lot of things and a lot of different businesses, farms, auction companies, just anything that made money. My grandpa did, and I grew up kind of as my mom was a single mom, raised 4 kids, worked 3 jobs at the same time, and so I spent a lot of time with my grandpa, and he kind of taught me those kind of lessons. The guy was a genius. I remember one time when I was a kid, we had a hill, and he had a bunch of apparatuses, tractors, tires, all kinds of stuff. And the guy stopped him and he says, "Hey, do you have this tire?" And he says, "Yeah, 3rd row, 4th thing. I paid $72 for it 4 years ago. You can have it." And it was like, yeah, holy cow, and because he had so much stuff. But just the example that he did kind of got me on that path, and he taught me a lot of things about business and how to work with people and don't go work for the man, really. So
yeah. You worked for him a lot of times when you were in high school and stuff. You were always tagging along and helping him out.
Well, he passed away when I was 13, but I started working for him when I was 7. We had a big farm, and so at an early age, I started working. We'd go change water before school. I'd be out on a dish bank with a shovel when I was 6 and 7 years old, and have to do that before I went to school. And then all summer long, we had a cotton farm is what we had. So you chop the weeds, you walk up and down every single row chopping weeds. And so when I was 6, 7 years old, I was out there chopping weeds from 5 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon all summer in the Arizona sun. It kind of sucked, but we did that 6 days a week. We look forward to church on Sunday. So
people would never allow their kids to do that now. I think it's the best thing, working when you're young and doing stuff.
Yeah. No, my wife, she actually did the same thing. So she was another farming family, and she did the same thing.
So tell me how that work ethic right there.
Mm-hmm.
That was instilled with me as well when I was a kid, and I appreciate that fact. But I can also, and just bear with me when I make the statement, I can also see how that can be a hurdle and an obstacle for people, because when you're an entrepreneur and you've got your own business, because the ditch diggers are not the ones making the most money. It's the ones that know how to identify other ditch diggers and give them an opportunity to put their muscle to work. So how has your work ethic changed over from that point up until where you are now in your business? Because I'm assuming you're not on the roofs, and you're not hanging drywall, and you're not doing all that. You're pulling different levers. And I think that's where most people get stuck. They'll get stuck at that kind of million mark, because at that point you really have to pull different levers to be able to move your income higher.
No, 1,000%. And honestly, that's still a hurdle for me. I pick it now, but sometimes I'll go do a repair on a roof just because I'm bored and I need to do it. Right. That's just the way I'm wired. I'm not out there every day. I'll meet with some customers every once in a while, but not very often. The other night I was actually fixing drywall because we're building a house, and it was a buddy of mine, and we were behind schedule, and all the guys were gone. And so I went and patched some drywall, hung some doors and things like that. But you're 1,000% right. You cannot make any money if you're the one out swinging the hammer. You have to rely on people and push those buttons. For me, the big transition was I was, nobody will believe it, but I was doing $5-6 million, and I was a solopreneur in roofing.
Damn.
I had a couple crews running, but I did the accounting. I did all the bids. I did all the estimates. I did all the accounting. I did I did everything, but my life sucked. It was horrible. I would send my wife and kids to Disneyland without me because I couldn't go. And so when you start realizing the quality of life sucks if you're the only one doing it. It's not any fun if you don't have a team and people around you that are supporting you and pushing you in the same direction and leveling them up at the same time.
So what did that transition look like? So tell us, I'm sorry, I jumped you way back up to where you are now. So you've started with a heavy work ethic, really young. You had kind of a mentor, but that mentor passed away early. What was your first entrepreneurial experience or your W-2 that kind of launched you into that?
So, I always had little side jobs when I was a kid, just doing stuff to make money. I was always working on the farm, but I'd go buy something and sell it, and fix it up. I would buy a 3-wheeler and refurbish it and sell it. I'd have motorcycles, and I always wanted to make money. Money drove me like nobody's business. And I think that was coming from my mom. My grandpa was extremely wealthy. But he was of that old time mentality that the girls didn't matter. And my mom was the oldest kid. And so the boys got everything. My mom, she got zero help from my grandpa, except picking me up and doing that kind of stuff. Right. But financially there was zero help. And so I always wanted to make money because my mom was mainly a school teacher. She taught school for 45 years. So we didn't have a lot of money growing up as our individual family. Mm-hmm. And so I never wanted her to suffer again and go through that. And so that kind of drove me of seeing how hard she had to work, that it wasn't fair. Right. And so I thought, man, I got to be able to change the way my mom lives, my brothers, my sister, everybody lives. And luckily that's been my driving force. Right. And so.
Are you the oldest?
I'm the youngest.
Okay.
I'm the baby. Yeah.
Wow. And you still had that attitude.
Yeah.
It's funny how our makeup is, our environment really does structure our why in life of what we do and why we go out and achieve certain things. And I've heard it said before, it's not a setback, it's a set up for success. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people would have sat there and said, well, he's probably not he wasn't exposed to, a great successful story, and he didn't have an entrepreneurial mother or father. And so he's not but you were able to flip that around. My situation as well, like my 20s really put me in a position to where I was like, I'll never go back to how I felt and how my finances looked and everything. So my 30s, that's my why, because I know how bad I hated that feeling. And it sounds like you were the same way. How bad you hated to see your mom in that position, that you would never allow yourself to have something like that in your life now, being that close financially struggling.
No, that's 100% right. And it hasn't always been rainbows and unicorns, right? There's been
absolutely not.
Be frank, there's been some pretty shitty times.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the journey, right?
I'm old enough to go through a few of these cycles that have gone through, and so I've had some rough times.
So, Jace, what did you do? You went back. Did you go back to school to be an engineer during the recession?
I did, right after it. So, right after high school, I went and I worked as I was going to school, I worked for a home building company. And a guy that helped raise me, I kind of lived with them. I call him Dad. He was the general foreman, superintendent over the whole company. We did 1,200 houses a year in the Phoenix metro area. Wow. And so he put me as an assistant superintendent basically day one, and I was 18 years old. And our superintendent that I was under was an alcoholic, so he was hiding out. So I was over 400 houses day one, and I didn't know how to build anything. And so my dad, he just basically said, get your ass to work, and figure it out. This is what you need to have done. Get that house done on schedule. So I did. And I had always told my grandpa that I would go to college. I I did really good in high school. I got good grades, straight A's, athlete, blah, blah, blah. But I hated school, right? But I always told my grandpa I'd get a degree. So I went to college, got a business degree. I was a C student in college. I hated it. But at the same time, I was working as a superintendent, and I was playing baseball too. So my life was crazy. And I kind of started drinking pretty heavy, honestly. That was a pretty rough time, but one day I just flipped a switch and quit drinking. And I actually left for a couple of years and served a mission for my church. And so I went to New York City, spent a couple of years in New York City. And that actually changed my life. I'd probably be drunk in a ditch if not, but that I haven't had a drink since then. So I think Kevin knows that. We've been out, and Kevin knows I don't drink and that kind of stuff. But, that kind of switched. And I met a couple people on that mission that have been lifelong friends ever since. So we started an insurance company right after I got back. I was still working, came back and worked for the construction company again. But I always wanted more, right? So I was using my W-2 job to fund other things so that I could get on my own. And that was in 2001, 2002. And we did really well in the insurance space. We were selling insurance to credit unions, so I didn't have to do the individual type stuff. So taking it to masses really fast. So our plan worked out really well.
So you had a flow of that. Those credit unions were flowing all those new accounts to you.
Yeah. So
I was in the insurance industry. And the agency was doing that. They got so much work off that.
You kill it. I mean,
a gold mine.
Anybody that wants to sell individual policies in insurance world is crazy. But I mean, it's just like any business. You want to figure out how to go to the masses, right?
Yeah.
Sell one thing one time and let it sell itself. And so that was kind of our goal. And we got it set up, and I kind of took a step back. It grew really fast. So I took a step back, and I actually went and started. You remember like Orange County Choppers and all that was big back early 2000.
Yeah.
So I went and started a motorcycle manufacturing company. We were building custom choppers. I loved welding. I've always done mechanics, that kind of stuff. So we started doing that, and we were actually selling them to people in South Korea mostly. So we were shipping them over there. And the best part about that, they pay top dollar, and they never rode them. So there was no warranty issues. There was nothing. So it was the craziest business in the world. We sold a few in the United States, but we got that up to 200 bikes a year. And so we did really well.
200 custom bikes.
Yeah, and chromed out. I mean, the more you could put on them, the better. Average ticket price was about 60 grand a piece. So we did pretty good. And then I sold that business. Still had the insurance income coming in. And before I sold it, I'd started a roofing business and went in with some guys, and we built that roofing business. They actually had it going on, started before I came. And then we grew it to a lot of money. It was, I think our best year we did 24 million, and
wow.
Just in roofing.
Residential or commercial or a mix?
Combination of both.
Yeah.
We fell short of 24 million. It was like 23.8. So sorry, I lied a little bit.
How did you get into all of these businesses? Because you were jumping in and out. Like, is this just you wake up one morning and say, I want to build choppers and I want to, partner on the roofing?
You just see opportunity like with the insurance?
Well, I look at business is business no matter what it is. And it could have been some of that shiny object syndrome, that kind of stuff. But honestly, people were just put in my life that were really experts at things. Mm-hmm. And I just honestly kind of got lucky at that time. And I had some knowledge of how to grow some things and push and make things happen. And rolled their coattails a little bit and pushed. And if you see them and find good people, good things happen if you just keep working and going after it. That's kind of the philosophy, right?
That's the best way to do it. Just like we always talk about buying a business, this is good. Getting into business with somebody who's already an expert at it,
Yep.
and then bring in your value. You don't have to learn everything on your own.
No. A month ago, I bought a truss company. I don't know how to build trusses, but we're already I'm buying them, so I might as well buy the company. It's vertical integration and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just things like that. You find out, I want to buy the person that I'm spending the most money with, I'm going to try to buy their company. So,
that's super smart. Yeah,
like
you were
that.
spending a ton of money on those.
Yeah, I was. Still am, but at least
Did you buy the actual company you were buying from?
Yeah.
How did that go? You just called them up and asked them if they were looking to sell?
Yeah, and the guys that were kind of running it were not the brightest, I guess I could say.
Yeah.
But they were some local guys, and I knew them, and I try to keep money local as much as I can, and that kind of stuff.
So there's hope for everybody.
Oh,
to own a business.
yeah.
You don't have to be super bright.
No, I'm definitely not bright. So take me as an example. I'm just a little hillbilly farm boy that loves to ranch, farm, and kill stuff, and shoot a long distance and ranch on.
Jace, that's great, because people always think, Chris, they always think it's like some magical script. No. He just called them, and he talked to them, and next thing you know, he bought their company. Don't overthink it. You never know what somebody wants to do. They were ready to cash out.
I'm buying another roofing company probably in the next quarter out of Tucson, Arizona. They're one of the oldest roofing companies in Tucson, and been in business since 1956. And they're kind of plateaued out. The old man's getting ready to retire, fell and broke his hip, and just wants to live out his life, right? And the thing. And so, especially right now, there's so much opportunity out there. I probably get a call a day on something. So honestly, it's kind of going through the weeds and deciding what you want to do. Because if you can't figure it out right now, how to buy a business or do that kind of stuff, then you're never going to figure it out.
I know. Just do it.
I think it's what you said, getting clear. You got to get clear on where you want to go. What Kevin says this a lot, like, what do you want your life to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And then that's going to help you make your decision on where you're going to be processing what type of business you're going to buy.
Yeah. You know why I say that? Because so many people, I did this mistake. When you're young, I don't know, it doesn't matter if you're young or old, but when you don't have a lot of money, you really think in terms of like just paying your bills.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, I don't really give a shit in 5 years. I got to do it now. But you have to look in 3 to 5 years. If you get up every morning and you work hard and you're motivated, you're not going to have any trouble paying your bills anyway. Yeah. So you can get that. I always tell people, you can get that out of your head. You will not have trouble paying your bills. But you have to like look into businesses and building your own business. Chris, we were just talking about you doing more commercial. Like I know that's a much better a much better play for you in 3-5 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're going to make a lot more money, but you're also going to I just know you're going to like your life more.
Yeah. No, and now it's, I think you have to kind of go through those stages, right? You need to use your W-2 to fund your first deal. Don't just go out and be willy-nilly, honestly, because you don't know what you want to do, right? I'm at a different stage of my life now that for me, it's 100% lifestyle. If it doesn't fit into my lifestyle, I'm not looking at it. If I don't have somebody in there that I don't want to be there day to day. I don't even have an office. I'm sitting in my office at my house. That's my roofing company. I don't have an office. That's because actually, I think it might have been Mark Andy. Was he on your guys' show?
Yeah.
A while back. Yeah. And he doesn't have an office. And that's why I don't have an office at our place anymore. Honestly, because I screw stuff up when I go over there, but often.
Mark, I was talking to Mark yesterday. They have an office for his company, but he says when he goes over there, he's like sitting on the printer and stuff because he doesn't have an office himself, and he feels all out of place.
But you can't start out that way, right? You got to build it and do that kind of stuff. And I don't know who's watching, but just go through the process. And you don't have to be a genius. I mean, look at us three right here. I guarantee our IQs aren't very high.
True story. When I get up in front of my team and I'm doing team meetings, I sit there and I have to immediately just go ahead and throw it out if there's anybody new in the room. I'm like, listen, don't judge me for my spelling, because I'll tell you right now, it's probably not going to get spelled right if y'all throw something outside of a 4 or 5 letter word.
100%. No,
I think what you said about W-2s is a good thing, because, I'm so anti W-2, but I think a young person coming out, they should get a W-2 for exactly what you say, to help fund things, but also they should pick it that can help them do whatever they're doing. More a learning thing than everything. So don't just get a random one in insurance if you don't want to actually learn insurance and you don't have a plan, if you're entrepreneurial. The thing I did when I was 18, I was cutting lawns. I had a lot of lawns. I met this landscaper who was around. He was about 12, 14 years older than me. We became friends, and I started working with him on the weekends, and he was doing pavers on the weekends. And I learned how to do pavers really well. Like, how was I going to learn that? But I remember having an ego thing at like 18, 19, like, nah, I don't need him.
Yeah.
I'll just figure it out on my own. And then what happened is people were asking me about paver walkways and stuff. So then I said, hey, I got this one. Do you want to do it with me? We'll split it. He said, yeah, I'll do it with you. And then he brought one of his guys. And next thing you know, like, seriously, in 6 months, I was doing paver jobs.
Yeah.
There's no way I would have figured that out on my own. I would have made a mess of somebody's walkway.
Well,
gotta be okay.
A lot of your money too. So, I mean,
he was paying me too, like, it was the greatest thing ever. He was paying me every day, and I was working Saturday and Sunday, and I was learning this cool skill.
It's a real life college education, a real life education.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say about those? Because I had this question come to me, and I had my own answer, but it was like, where do I start? I'm so far in life at this point, and I'm still just spinning my wheels, barely making it. And I'm trying to work on myself and get myself right, because I know that I have to have my self-development ready before I can start making money. What do you say to that? Based off of your experience and your journey in life.
Invest in yourself.
On a skill set, right?
Yeah. Either skill set, mentorship, learn from guys that have already done it. I think Kevin was just making that point right there that, if I had to do it all over again, I would have joined the mastermind much sooner. I would have gone to events much sooner.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a mastermind was until 4 or 5 years ago. And I'll be 44 in a couple of weeks, and so I really started that journey late in life, and it's made my business be exponentially better. It's got me out of the day-to-day trenches. It's changed the way that I look at business now. Now I can go evaluate a business in about a couple hours and say, yeah, I want to pursue this further, or no, I don't. Like, it doesn't fit. But if you're just starting out like day one, just get going. Quit making sure that you have every last T crossed, I dotted, all that kind of crap, because you never will. I still don't. I learn every freaking day how bad I screwed up. But if you just keep learning and building upon those precepts, then you're golden. You just got to progress every day. And anybody that says they have it all figured out is freaking lying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So my response to him was, stop saying you got to get self taken care of to a certain level before you go. I said, if you need to focus on a skill set, and then you just got to start taking action on that skill set. Self-development is going to happen as you start taking your journey in life. When you start taking action on your skill sets, you're going to learn who you're about, what you need to improve on. You're going to get around people you'll be able to glean from and see how they respond with money, and how they respond with their marriage, and how they respond with networking. It starts with the action piece. And I see so many people that just sit in that stage of study. And I forget the statistic, but when you sit there in a classroom and you walk away, like these events we go to,
Yeah.
I think it's an extremely small percentage of information that you actually keep with you a week later that you can still remember and explain to someone else. But the action stuff, we remember moments in our life where we were actually doing movement. That stuff just sticks to your brain better.
I think the main thing is ask for help. Don't be too prideful to ask, right? Because honestly, you guys, if somebody asks you a question, you'd answer or figure it out as fast as you could and help
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely.
Try to level them up, and I hope I'm the same way, and I hope I haven't missed people. You know what I mean? But people that ask, and your learning curve is so much faster.
And being around people, Jace just said he had $23.8 million in roofing. When you get around people like that, you just start to think very differently. When you ask Jace a question about if you have a roofing business, like I'm buying one, just like you're going to get really good answers. That's not your buddy who works at W-2 who
Right.
used to slop some shingles down when he was in college. He
Yeah,
can't tell you shit.
Don't buy it.
He'll tell you, don't do that. Don't do that. No,
Too risky.
Yeah, he'll give you a million reasons not to do it. He doesn't know anything. So that's why you got to be around people who can do it. You look at like Jennings posting that thing about the $47 million hotel.
Yeah.
I mean, guys are doing huge things.
Yeah.
These are people you want to be around. It's not about money. It's about mindset. They think huge. It's impossible to not start to think like that. I know from being in the deal maker, we all know Mark makes you think like that. Everything's small to him. And you start thinking much bigger.
No, and you have to. It's that old saying, you think in hundreds, you're going to get hundreds. You think in thousands, you're going to get thousands. You think in millions. Whatever your number is, honestly, my number's in the billions now, and I'll hit it. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. So, and you know what? If I don't, I know I'll hit hundreds of millions.
Yeah,
absolutely, man.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But I mean, that's honestly our strategy right now is I'm buying businesses. I don't ever want to start another business from scratch.
Me neither.
I'm gray haired and
it's so much work.
It's tough.
It's kind of brutal when you look back at like everything that was done to start your business.
I would actually, my nephew asked me the other day the same thing. He wants to start up a laundromat and that kind of stuff, and I'm like, don't do it. Go buy one.
Go buy one that has good numbers. You're much safer.
100%.
And then don't buy a little one. Don't buy the dinky one in a strip mall that makes $81,000.
Yeah,
it's hard for people to think like that too. You got to go bigger. It gets safer.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Can you break down your trust company, kind of what that looked like? Let us know, you were already buying from them, so that's why you knew about them. They're in your market. You knew that they at least had one customer, you.
Yeah.
So how did you evaluate it? How did you figure out what that thing was worth? Were they looking to sell? Like, give us some explanations that open up that question mark for everybody that's never purchased a business or ever tried.
Let's talk about another one, because that one is a bad example.
Okay, let's do another one.
Let me just tell you why. Because they didn't know how to bid jobs. They were bidding them at cost, and they'd have one hiccup on labor. And so they thought they had their margins right. And so honestly, I stole that business and I didn't come up with a penny.
Yeah.
They were going to end up closing the doors, and I just said, I'll take it over because I know what it was.
Wow.
And so I took over some payments and a little bit of debt on some lumber that they had. I think I spent $50,000 on the whole thing and walked away. And I actually just wrote the check 7 days ago to them. And
so in that case, just filling your needs probably paid for it.
Oh yeah, I've already paid for it a couple times over in the last 7 days. So
and you'll just fix the margins and everything, and
we've already done it.
Yeah, I bet
it's so dumb. It was so, but there's things like that out there, right?
Right.
What's another one you bought?
So I mean, I bought a little roofing company. They were doing $4.5 million.
A little roofing company, $4.5 million.
And they have 2.5 acres of freeway frontage, so the real estate's probably worth close to $1 million.
So the land was involved in that 4.5, or that's
office
gross what they're doing.
growth is what they were doing. And they're at about 22% margins on it right now. And so they have 18 employees, 7 trucks, and then they had a boneyard of tile that he was selling cash tile for about $1,000 a day is what he was selling out of there.
Okay.
And I was there for like 4 days and it all happened. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it was a pretty good deal.
You saw it was happening. That's a nice revenue stream right there.
Yeah, he wanted $2 million for the business. And
what about the land?
That was with everything.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I mean, so his assets equal. I think when I figured it up, it was like 1.8, and so he wanted $2 million. I got him to owner finance the majority of it, just for tax purposes and things like that. And he wasn't even doing half the stuff that I already do on my other side of my roofing company, and it was a market I was wanting to expand into anyway. And the way I found that deal is I talked to my suppliers and I told them I was interested in buying, and
That's a good point.
I wanted to buy more. And so one of my main sales guys from ABC Supply, he called me up and he says, "Hey, give this guy a call." And so I did. And 6 months later, we buy the company and keep going.
That's a great way to do it, because ABC knows how much you're buying. So they introduce you. It's a warm lead. They're like, this guy's, I know that he had that conversation when he talked to him. He says, this guy's buying this much a year from us. And he can, because that's what these guys, a smaller company like that, the smaller than yours, they want to know that you're the real deal. And he just qualified you. It's an easy phone conversation then.
And I got him to owner finance a lot of it. So he wants to make sure that I can pay him, right? And so if I'm just Joe Schmo or whatever, then he might not owner finance. Maybe you have to go and get an SBA loan and do that kind of stuff to buy him out. But it's still a way to do it. I try to do it with the least amount of money out of my pocket and let them finance their own deal. And honestly, it's a win-win because they don't get hit by Uncle Sam so hard. So
what did the owner finance terms look like?
So we did it over 7 years. I got a balloon payment in 7 years. I am paying him 6% interest on what he's carrying, but we amortized it over 20 years, and so I'll end up having to come out and
right.
Honestly, I'll pay it off before that, and we'll do all right. We'll make the business pay for itself.
Right.
That's a great deal, because so if you buy it at 1.8, like that guy, even if he got a check for 1.8, I mean, I guess he can kind of retire. It's not really a great.
No, he
might have money already.
1.1 or so after taxes. He might come out with 1.1.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's why owner financing and getting paid for a long time and better taxing. I'll tell you, when I sell my business, I know I'm going to do owner financing.
Well,
I want that stream for another 8 or 10 years. I believe in the business.
He wanted, he was scared that he wanted a monthly income, and so it worked out great.
Most do.
You always let them set the price and you set the terms, and go that route. And almost every deal is doable. So
I love that line. You set the price, I'll set the terms.
Yep.
It's
good.
Yeah, it's good. It's hard to say no to that when you get the price you want.
Yep.
And the terms, and then you explain to them why it's better. A sophisticated person's going to see why that's better anyway.
Well, and
you can end up with more money.
About financing. He's like, I just want $2 million. I'm like, okay, we can make that happen, but do you want to check today and get half that, or do you want $2 million?
Yeah.
So we showed it to him, and it worked out really well. But we'll double those guys' revenue this year. I mean, that's real.
That's the key too. You get a business like this, you already know what's going to happen because you've had so much success in your own. So you just going to go in there and pour gasoline on that.
Yeah, and not too much.
Huh?
Like, it's not going to take me much at all.
No.
We've already seen the numbers start climbing and things like that. And there's another one I'm getting ready to look at right now with almost the same scenario in a different market. So
that's that older guy who had the injury.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at these that are in different markets and pulling it back to your lifestyle piece, do they already have the leadership in place and you're just really capitalizing on better marketing?
Yeah, I make sure that most of the guys are going to stay. The key people that are there are going to stay, and that they're not all family, that kind of stuff. Like his daughter is in the office. This other one, his daughter's in the office, and she'll probably leave because she's having a baby, doesn't have any kids, that kind of stuff. But he has 3 estimators sitting there that do all the work anyway. So he shows up to the office just, I think, probably to get out of the house, honestly.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't do anything except he's there, right? And I've got a couple guys in that same market that I'll plug and play and roll them into it.
Jace, what does your team look like?
My team's actually pretty small. I've got a chief operating officer. Well, that's what he does. That should be his title, but I partnered with him on the trust company. He was actually my partner in the insurance company. So when you talk about relationships, that relationship goes back to 2000. And he had stayed in the insurance business and came over. So he stayed with me, and I stole him back from the insurance business when they didn't renew a contract for him and his family. And they moved from Colorado to come down and hang out with me and have some fun.
Yeah.
So I've got him. I've got another superintendent that kind of directs things for me on all the other stuff. But on each business, I basically run it, me and Russell, and then a guy named Jake. So my team's extremely small. And then I have outside accounting firms and that kind of stuff. So I hire a lot of that kind of stuff out.
Yeah. What's the skill set for the insurance partner guy? And then yours, like, is he a financial guy or?
So he watches over the accounting type stuff and does a lot of the processes and insurances and taxes and all that kind of stuff, just because I hate it. Like, I don't even want to look at it. Like, I don't want to go through audits. I don't want to do any of that kind of stuff. And you just hire the person that is good at that kind of stuff. And I'm not, because honestly, I'll throw it in a box in my desk right here and it might not get looked at.
I think this is super important that there's guys, Chris, I talk to some guys and they show me businesses and I know they don't know numbers at all. Like, I can just tell. And I think they're going to probably get their ass handed to them if they did get a hold of that business. You have to get one or two things. You should get a partner that's really good at that and enjoys it, gets energy out of it. There's guys who love doing that, but they would hate being on site, talking to contractors. That would be like the worst thing.
Yeah.
Or you have to have enough money buying that business. It's got to be a big enough business that you can hire an accounting firm or somebody to not just like do your taxes and you send them shit. Like, they got to be able to handle shit. Otherwise, I just think, yeah, exactly. It just ends up on the side of the desk. Like, I'm in all these states. There's nothing worse to me than like filing for states and registrations and all that. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
So I have somebody on my team. She loves it. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I would probably go a year and there would be a pile of that stuff. I would never do it. All I do is scan. I don't even do it. I give it to my brother. I say, just scan all that, send it to her.
Yeah.
It comes to that. I don't want to look at it.
And there's somebody for every role, right? Like, Russell's great being a number 2, right? That's all he ever wants to be. He'll tell you that. He does not want to be the guy in charge. He wants me to come up with a plan and he'll figure out how to implement it. Yeah. And that's good, because I don't always implement the best. And I'm okay with that. And I can realize that, but you have to get people around you that you trust. If I was still by myself, I'd probably still be at the $3 to $5 million mark and hating my life. Yep. And luckily right now I'm not. And we've pulled a few levers that are good. I've looked at different industries. I went through 2008 and I lost everything. We were destitute. I was living in a van down by the river with Chris Farley. Right? Like, you guys might not know who he is, but that's how it was. I had a wife and 2 kids. I had a pistol in my mouth. I was going to shoot myself. My son called me. I didn't do it. You ever taste the the gunpowder of a gun, it's not good, and that's how low it got. But it was because I was doing it all by myself, and I lost everything. I sold every toy we had. We had all the fancy stuff. We lost our house. We were doing 12 million a year at that point, right? And it just was gone overnight. And I kept guys on staff and I kept them for 6 months because I thought I was going to turn. So I spent another $500,000 in payroll and taxes and that kind of stuff. I had some guys declare bankruptcy against me for a couple $1 million pretty quick. And so everything went out. But the best thing about it, is I didn't kill myself. My son saved my life. I paid every creditor I had except for a couple credit cards. I paid all my suppliers. I paid everything. I did everything. Honestly, I paid some of them back in 2017. So that's how long it took. But I did it, right? And I didn't have to. The only ones I didn't pay were some credit cards because I told them to have Obama bail them out because he was already doing it. I told them to go screw themselves. That's the comment when they call and ask for credit card payment. I said, Obama will bail you out. And so I'm okay with that. I can sleep at night. But the guys I do business with, I made sure that they all got paid. I worked straight nights at a mining company while I was going to school. I worked on the ambulance 2 days a week. I worked 7 days a week at the mining company, and I went to school to try to change everything. Like it's a chaotic time in your life, but if there's a will and a way to do it, and you want it bad enough, you'll get it done, right?
That's the statement of this. That's such a true statement, and that's the statement everybody should take away. If there's a will and a way, you'll find a way to get it done.
Yeah, Jace, thanks for sharing that. I mean, and some of the guys who are younger don't know. 2008 was so brutal. When I was losing money, real estate and stuff, my whole life changed. My personality changed.
Yeah.
I was depressed all the time. I never made jokes. I worked at this insurance office. They used to say I had heads in the freezer. I was like a serial killer. I mean, I was so pissed off at myself and what happened with the economy. It's brutal. But if I went into business with somebody now, not that they had to have gone through that, but if I saw somebody and they survived that and then flourished again, I would have so much confidence in them.
Well,
they're like a warrior,
right? Yeah, like they're not going to give up. But I think that goes back to us talking about putting the right people in the right place, right? Like I think if I would have had a better team or people around me, maybe we could have hedged some of that off and looked different. I was so tunnel visioned to we're blowing and going that my head was in the sand, and I should have fired guys day one, and they hated me after 6 months anyway when I had to fire them. Yeah. But I went down, they went down, and so I thoroughly believe in good partnerships. Not I've had some shitty ones too. Like,
how did you meet this guy that you became a partner with?
Russell?
Yeah.
We were actually on our mission together in New York City.
Okay.
And I threatened to kick his ass the first day I met him. Honestly, that's how we met. So he'll tell you the story. So I'm not the best look as a missionary threatening to kick his ass, but
I love that you're so transparent with that. You hate numbers; it'll pile up in the thing. Like, yeah, you have to be really honest with yourself. What you're not good at, and you're good at. You can't be good at everything. Yep.
And the only reason it's in a box because I asked my wife to clean off my desk. So that's
it drains you. If something drains you and it's that, I promise you there's somebody it does not drain. They will like it.
Yeah, and Russell's that way, right? And he is extremely talented, and so I trust him with everything. Like,
yeah.
If he wants to steal everything, he knows every password. My wife knows every password. I don't have anything to hide. Like he knows when I don't have any money, when I have lots of money, what I spend it on. But you got to find some people like that. And I've been burned in the past for trusting some people. Honestly, some guys just got out of prison because they ripped me off for a couple $1 million. So
yeah.
But
so you're saying you would
feds come get him though. That was awesome.
Yeah. You're saying maybe without him, maybe you would have did 3 to 5 million. Let's just call it 5 million. You would have hated your life. You would have had a pile of shit on your desk.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing 20. You could do 20 million plus, and you got a partner. So people who look at it like, oh, I don't want to split money with somebody, I want it all for myself, they look at it as an expense rather than an investment. If you get the right person, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's probably heard that old adage of I want 10% of the watermelon or 100% of the grape, right? And it holds true in business, right? That's the key, is get good people around you. Hopefully you have a great spouse and don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I've been married to my wife for almost 19 years. We've never fought. When we lost our house, you want to know what her exact comment was? When do I start backing?
Wow,
that was it. Like,
yeah.
I was coming back from a hunting trip and they auctioned it off on the court steps. Like, that was her comment. And I'm devastated. I'm like, holy shit. Where'd you come from?
I think that goes back to picking the right partners. I mean, that's your biggest partner is your spouse, and you need someone that is there and in the good and the bad. I mean, that's amazing. Her response, that told me everything about her when she had that response.
That's probably the number one decision in life, is not only who you spend your life with, but who you have kids with. That combination.
Yeah.
A lot of people make major mistakes with that. Yeah.
Honestly, my life's extremely blessed and extremely good. I get to coach high school baseball right now. Like, what else is like? I get to spend time with my kids.
So what is your skill sets that you bring to the table for each business at this point? Like, not skill sets. What does your daily activity look like when you plug in? So I'm not the guy that just shows up in the office at this point in my business and says, when I show up, I screw it all up. I'm still here. I show up 5 days a week, 8 to 5. I'm listening to what's going on. I'm paying attention, trying to think through what's going to be efficient. I'm present. And I'm interested when I hear guys like you and Mark with the other roofing company. I feel like I would be extremely bored and not know what to do with my time if I didn't show up to the office. So what are your activities looking like for these businesses?
So I still show up quite a bit. I don't go out and bid a lot of jobs. I don't do any of that kind of stuff. And I'm phasing myself out even more. But right now, I'm looking at bigger jobs and bigger contacts and bigger contracts, right? So on the roofing side, we're rolling, but we need more commercial. Like, I think we're going to end up closing up a homeowners association type deal that'll be $10 million a year, like that kind of stuff. I'm trying to wrap up those kind of deals and just think bigger, right? Because we have enough deal flow daily to keep everybody busy and make money and sell enough roofs and homes and things like that. But to go to that next level, we've got to think bigger, right? And so hopefully we close up that deal in the next 60 days and that'll look good. On the contracting side, I still go out to the houses every once in a while if they're a nicer house, right?
Right.
Like, just because I still enjoy that.
Sure.
And I'm kind of like you, Chris. I get bored, right? I can't stay home and do that kind of stuff. I do a lot of hunting. I do a lot of fishing. Probably a lot more hunting than I should. The next 3 months, I coach our high school baseball team, and so that's kind of become a labor of love. I redid the field. We put $100,000 into the field this year to make it just a great place to go play. This morning before this call, I was out on a skid steer leveling another high school field. The high school I went to that is our rival now because I'm across the street, right? But I just enjoy that kind of stuff now.
I think that Chris, what you're saying is true. What Jace has found, when he frees up time, he just goes and buys new businesses. But he also does the coaching for the baseball. Like, I feel the same way. When I used to be like all in the weeds and I was up late at night doing stuff, I didn't do like kind of some other stuff in my life. I was telling my girlfriend one time, like 6 months ago, I'll sell this business. She goes, I feel like you'll just sell it and you'll buy another one right away. I know you will. I said, I am going to do that. Yeah. I'm not going to be going to the movies with you on Tuesday. It's not
But
going to
hopefully
happen.
it has another zero at the end of it.
I'm going to just go bigger. Yeah, I'm
Right.
not going to buy a smaller one. You have to go bigger. So yeah, that's just what we'll do. I think that you just find new things, like even the blue collar millionaire, and we just start doing new cool stuff, and it will just like lead you into new things.
Yeah, and you got to start doing what you want to do, right? At the
Yeah.
beginning, you do what you need to do to get by. I mean, you were talking about that a minute ago, Kevin. You're in survival mode. Now it's trying to shift to legacy mode and get some things moving so that hell, I want to have enough businesses that each of my kids can take it over and flourish and do whatever, and do that. So my partner can take one over. So my nephew can take one over that's put a ton of hours and time into my businesses and done things. So it just, now I want to have an impact on the community or the state and that kind of stuff, and not just my little family, right? And so
Yeah.
Jace, I want to ask you, I think this is really important to anybody buying a business, that you look at that business and you see things they're not doing, that you're already doing, that you're going to do, and it's going to double the sales really quickly, like you see. So you see that in this roofing business that you just bought.
Yeah. And if you can't add value to it, don't go buy it.
I wouldn't buy it.
Right.
No, do not buy it. If you don't clearly see where you're adding value, don't buy it.
Because obviously they're selling it because they either have a headache or sometimes it's things of life, but there's headaches. And if you cannot see yourself doubling, tripling the bottom dollar,
don't do it.
Stay away.
I agree, because otherwise, let's just say it was doing 2 million and it was netting 500,000. If you don't have that vision of what you're going to do, it's just going to trickle down.
Mm-hmm.
That business is going to do 1.8, 1.6, and in like 5 years, you're going to be in trouble. You have to see it and say, wow, I see. What's one thing you saw that they're not doing that you're doing?
Advertising.
Yeah.
and honestly, so they just did zero advertising. It was all word of mouth, which was great. There was service on them, right? But they were doing all commercial coatings basically, and I have phenomenal shingle crews, roofing crews, TPO. So we can implement that and start advertising that. They already have the reputation. It's phenomenal.
They're like doing well. They're doing pretty well despite themselves. They don't advertise. So many blue collar guys wear that like a badge of honor. Oh, I only work on referrals. I said, guess what's going to happen if you actually advertise? You're going to get referrals off the new customers. That drives me nuts.
And I'm glad they're getting referrals, but you need to do more. Like if you're already set up to do it, why the hell not?
Right.
Yeah. If you get 100 referrals from 1,000 customers every year, go get 3,000 customers and you'll get 300. You'll probably they're probably not even working their referrals like they should. So you can also double that.
Yeah. We'll send out emails and do email lists and that kind of stuff. And advertising, we have a great realtor network that we can go and do repairs for, that are just repairs are where the money are at in roofing, right? Because you have very little expense and you can do 5 or 6 of them and make $300 or $400 each day. And so my goal for every crew I have is they need to net me $1,000 a day. And so that's where we're at.
Yeah. How you do referrals. One thing we do that's worked really well, I'll give guys a nugget if you want. If we get a new complex and it's not a management company we got their first one. After we do their complex, we do a good job. That manager's happy. We just say, hey, is it okay if we reach out to other managers in your office? We don't even ask for their names or anything. They say yes. Then my VAs go on Hunter.io, put that website in there, pull all the managers' emails. Then we find out where they manage, and then we send them a diagram of their complex. And then we say, hey, we just did it for Jace. We just did their complex over here for Jace at Chestnut Oaks. We'd love to give you a proposal on this. It hits like fire. Yeah. Because they're like, some people are like, that was a lot of effort, but it really wasn't. Probably cost me $12.
Yeah. So
and I was asleep.
Kevin could buy my business and double the money. Like, that's because he has a different skill set, right? Like, I don't do referrals that way. We're old school. We just ask them. You got any referrals first? We'll give you a little bit of money, right? $100 a referral or whatever it is. Or
People want to tell people when they like someone. They really do.
Yep.
They feel like they're part of the community. Oh, I got this great roofer, Jace, and yeah, they like to pick up $100. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
I love the marketing side of it, because typically that's where that's where all of the opportunity is for when you're looking at these businesses. And as you increase the marketing, yes, you're going to have to make sure you don't bottleneck in your fulfillment, the operations, but you can simplify it so much if you just go to the source, like who's touching your customer in the moment that they're going to need you. So like you were using the realtors, Jace, and realtors are a great referral source for us as well, but even better are the plumbers for our disaster cleanup to get water mitigation jobs. And we throw them money. We're like, man, five minutes of your time is $200 in your pocket when we close a deal, and you don't have to sell them. You just offer that we'll come out and we'll inspect for free to make sure that they don't have mold. So everybody's scared of mold, so it throws an urgency. And then we show up and we can use our tools, infrared cameras, all that good stuff, and wow them that we know what we're doing. But that is a great way to ramp up very quickly, is just by utilizing that person that's already talking to your customer in the moment that they're going to need you. And your realtors are the exact same way.
Well, I've partnered with like roofing or plumbing and HVAC guys, because like right now I do large apartment complexes and they need more subs, right? And so I tell these HVAC guys and plumbers, hey, I can get you this contract, just pay me a percentage on top of it. Right?
Yeah.
And I do it. I don't do anything. Like
just introduce, and you got the clout to do it. I love that stream of income.
Extra couple $100,000 a year that is off the books that I never would have had, right? And so
and you're helping them big time.
Yeah.
Because they weren't going to get that deal.
Yeah, one HVAC company I tried to buy, it pissed me off because he was doing $700,000 a year and 600 of it was me. So I blew him up even bigger, but he's a good buddy of mine. So it worked.
Yeah. Hey, Jace, you going to be down in Florida?
No, baseball season started. So.
Oh man.
Yeah, I missed out on my Honduras trip last week too because of it. I have a subdivision in Honduras we're doing. That's phenomenal. So.
You didn't even get to that. This guy's building in Honduras.
You guys want to come down to Roatan, Honduras? It's where Costa Rica was 15 years ago. So if you know prices and that kind of stuff, we bought 22 acres. Well, finishing it all up and have a whole resort, 3 acres of beachfront. That's where I'm going to retire.
My main guy for Gutter King in the field is from Honduras, and he trains everybody, and he only hires guys from Honduras.
Yeah, they work.
I told him about your post and where it was, and he's, Honduras, there's a lot of rough areas, but he was like, no, that's like beautiful there. It's like incredible.
No, amazing beaches. If you do a petty crime, they ship you back to mainland and don't let you back on mainland. It's number one snorkeling, scuba diving in the world. A guy from Texas just spent $1 billion between infrastructure and buying the bottom part of the island. Coolest guy in the world, hillbilly from Texas, but I won't say his name, but he's a good dude.
Oil money.
Yeah, and that's it. Well, he's in utilities and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So.
Wow,
man, that's awesome.
Well, Jace, thanks so much for coming on. That was really
Appreciate
interesting,
you guys. Well, I didn't think we'd talk for an hour, so that's good.
Yeah, it goes by quick, man. It really does every time.
So
it does. It always goes by like that. We could keep going, but
I hope you guys got something out of it, and I appreciate it. I did, so thank you.
We did. We got a couple comments. People were like, "I'm calling suppliers today." That's a great way.
No, good. Yeah. Absolutely. Anybody needs anything, reach out. Hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, whatever. So,
what's your Instagram?
Hell, I don't know.
Just shoot me a message. Shoot me a message. I'll put it in the comments.
Jace Howard 3 or something like that. I don't know. Jace Howard.
There's not a lot of Jace Howard. They'll put it in there.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Talk to you later.